Hey, how's it going, everyone? So it looks like there's some strange things going on now, and people are saying this is potentially damage control on the part of fans and people that are in favor of The Last Jedi, that apparently now people are blaming George Lucas for the creative choices regarding Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. So if you guys don't know, before Disney acquired Lucasfilm in 2012, George Lucas did write a treatment for a new trilogy of Star Wars films for 7, 8, and 9, and they actually had a screenwriter on board working on that, and apparently a lot of concept art is actually surfacing for the film and for that version of, the new trilogy, thanks to the artwork of the Last Jedi book. Now, I talked about a picture from it a few days ago regarding Luke deep in thought with a Sith ghost haunting him. Apparently that was from the George Lucas version of episode 7, I think. The reason that they're blaming George Lucas is because his plan for episode 7 was that Luke was actually going to be in exile. He was going to be older, he was going to be on an island similar to Ahch-To in the film, and that 30 years after the fall of the Empire, Luke had gone and secluded himself on a new Jedi temple on a new planet. And this is when the disciple Kira, who is the character that Rey would eventually become, goes to look for him, and he ends up training her. And essentially, over the plot of episode 7, Luke would rediscover his vitality and train a new generation of Jedi, and that's where the whole storyline comes in with Luke and Rey essentially getting thrown into the newer versions of the scripts. We're also going to be seeing Luke actually appear halfway through The Force Awakens in full, reuniting potentially with the other characters like Han and Leia. So, there's different ideas of what was going to happen, but again, all of this was not set in stone really. It was all concepts, treatments, early story ideas, so nothing was in fact final in terms of what George Lucas wanted to do with 7, 8, and 9. Now, the reason people are blaming him now is because there's been such a big fan backlash to how Luke Skywalker was treated in The Last Jedi. He was kind of like a hermit, he didn't want to interact with anyone. He said he went to the island to die, that he didn't want anyone finding him, he had cut himself off from the Force. To a lot of fans, he acted very out of character. And now people are saying, oh well, if you didn't like that, then that was a George Lucas idea, and you guys defend Lucas and yada yada yada. But it didn't really make sense because, like I said, the idea of Luke being secluded was just a concept in Lucas's, script or treatment, outline, whatever you want to call it. So who knows what could have happened? It could have been different, and even if he did seclude himself, it could have been handled so much differently than it was in The Last Jedi. Maybe he did seclude himself, but then he was actually able to train the character, Kira or Rey, whatever you want to call her, and he just acted very differently. Like, maybe he did run away, but he was still sort of in character. Not so much changes of what we saw in The Last Jedi, but I kind of found this funny because it's like, people are so quick to jump and point the blame at everyone other than, the guy that wrote and directed the movie, Rian Johnson. For some reason, we're now blaming George Lucas for old concept art from like 2012 because of what happened to Luke Skywalker in this movie. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that we're supposed to be blaming George Lucas for questionable creative ideas, or do you think that the blame should ultimately go to the people making the new movie, like Rian Johnson, who, again, wrote and directed this film entirely by himself? He had no co-writers. He might have had like Lawrence Kasdan over his shoulder helping with the story, but that was it. I mean, he wrote it and completely did his vision. So like I said, drop your thoughts down in the usual spot, and for more updates on The Last Jedi and everything Star Wars, be sure to subscribe to Hybrid Network.